Bitcoin is finally apparently decoupled from the stock market, at least temporarily. We saw a beautiful move up on Monday, but I think the question on everyone's mind is, do we get the classic BART pattern and drop right back down? Or are we going to actually see some sustained bullish price action? I'll be talking about that on the back half, looking at some charts and some news, but also we're going to talk today about the importance of liquidity in markets. It's something that we have a conversation about very regularly that I don't think most people really understand. I've got Suren Markosov today from Bullish, who's going to be breaking down exactly how that works and why it matters. You guys don't want to miss this one today. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and take your cup and pour some liquidity right on that like button. Don't do that. Don't do that. Somebody's going to go ahead and pour water on the like button and destroy their keyboard. That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about liquidity, of course. We're going to get into that a bit deeper at the moment. How are you guys doing today? Got a bunch of you guys. I see you guys over here saying hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. So listen, the market was kind of exciting for about one day on Monday, and now things have cooled off once again. I was talking to our guest actually right before we even started the stream, saying maybe it'll be a boring summer again. I'm curious if he shares that thoughts, but if anyone remembers last year, we had the May crash, kind of capitulated a bit in June, and then we all tried to find things to talk about for the rest of the summer that were not sports or going to the beach or having barbecues, because that was basically the only thing that was worth doing. Now, guys, listen, so as you guys know, on Wednesdays, we've got Bullish as the sponsor. You see it right there, right? It's going right along the bottom. So you can read that. You can read about it in the description. As you all know by now, obviously, we know why centralized exchanges have their advantages. People love trading on centralized exchanges. You have an order book that you can look at. You can set stop losses and take profit orders. Then you go the full other way and you have the Uniswaps of the world, where it's basically just YOLO. You hope that you don't die in your sleep when something goes down 90% and you have no way to react. But the advantage there being obviously not your keys, not your coins, right? It's your own wallet, you self-custody, and you're able to trade. Well, obviously, the future, I think, of all exchanges in crypto is going to be a hybrid of the two, and Bullish offers that with extremely deep liquidity. But we're going to talk about why that matters. I'm actually going to go ahead and bring on Suren Markosov right now. Hey, Suren, how are you, man?
Hi, Scott. Good to be here.
Well, thank you for joining. So listen, we talk about, as I said in the intro, we talk about liquidity all the time, myself included. But I don't think most experienced at some degree of slippage or something in the past, and everybody's had these sort of weird moments. But first, can you talk about why liquidity is so important in trading and investing, especially crypto?
Sure. So you already mentioned slippage. That's an important related word to liquidity. Fundamentally, it's about getting the best price, whether you're buying or selling, for your trading plan. So if you have a certain fixed number of dollars, you want to maximize the number of Bitcoin you'll get when you buy it, which means getting the lowest price possible. Now slippage goes the other way of that, which is the price on the screen may be 30,000, but by the time you're done buying, it will be something higher than 30,000, like 31 or 32, depending on how big your buying order is. Of course, it matters probably a little bit more for sizable institutional traders or whales, because their impact, their slippage will be higher than if you're trading some in small size. But even for a moderate size order, slippage still exists. So even if you have 50K US to buy, it will make a difference. It will be a single-digit number of basis point slippage, but it'll still be slippage. And if you do it on a regular basis, if you're a frequent trader, those basis points add up, and so it eats into your returns. So that's why slippage matters, which is why in turn liquidity matters. The deeper the liquidity, the smaller the slippage, and it's almost like in exact inverse proportion. If you double your liquidity, you have your slippage. And it's a good thing. So that's why it matters. That's why all the exchanges always advertise their liquidity and their low slippage. And that's basically a fundamental criterion on which exchanges compete. And we are an exchange, so our goal is to beat our competitors on that metric, so as to attract most volume and to deliver value to the users. So that's the kind of my preamble on this, but then we can go more into it.
Perfect. People are saying that it's nothing that we can control. I think there's a slight YouTube issue where people are having some issues with both of our sound. There's nothing we can do, unfortunately, so we're just going to push through it, and if we have an issue, we'll redo it. But so how do you actually provide that liquidity, right? I know on a centralized exchange, to some degree, you just have to build up enough of a customer base that the liquidity is there and you have market makers.
Sure. So yes, you're right. The mode in which liquidity has been provided between centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges has been quite different traditionally. In centralized exchanges, it is the central limit order book. So everybody submits their bids and offers, and that's what builds up the liquidity. That's what builds up the market depth. The market depth is basically just the sum of all the bids and offers that are sent to the exchange. That's how it is in the centralized exchange. In the decentralized exchanges, like Uniswap or Bank or any of those mechanisms, at the center of liquidity is the liquidity pool, and also known as the automated market maker, which basically means liquidity will be provided automatically if you put money in that pool. So if you put $1 million and $1 million worth of Bitcoin into the pool, you'll have a certain level of liquidity. If you put 10 times that, you'll have 10 times liquidity. So the more money you put into the liquidity pool, the more liquid the decentralized exchange becomes. So that's the decentralized exchange way. What we've done at Bullish is basically a hybrid of that, where we are a centralized exchange, but we use methods from the decentralized exchange world, from the DeFi world, i.e. we have a liquidity pool, we put money into it, and that's how we generate our liquidity.
And I know that recently you even upped that to effectively tighten the spread, no matter the size. I mean, how much size? Here's a better question: how much size matters? We're talking about we know retail traders, a few thousand here or there. How big do these orders get where you have to start being concerned about this?
Sure. So I guess when you increase the depth, you increase it at all levels. At the level of even if because depth is measured how far you're willing to push the price versus how much quantity you're going to get. So typically on sites like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, you see this 2% depth, often advertised 2% depth, which means what? It means if you're willing to push the price up by 2% from the current level, how many Bitcoins are you going to be able to buy? And if you're willing to push the price down 2%, how many Bitcoins will you be able to sell? So that's the depth. That's the 2% depth. And on that basis, if you look at leading exchanges, I'm talking like top 2 or 3 exchanges, typically you have a depth between 3 and 500 Bitcoin. That's how many Bitcoin you can buy if you're willing to push the price by 2%. On Bullish, if you're willing to push the price by 2%, you will be able to buy 1,000 Bitcoin. So it's important, obviously, you will say, well, what if I'm not a whale? What if I only want to buy 1 Bitcoin? Again, the depth increases proportionately at all levels. So if you are twice as big as the next largest exchange on a 2% depth basis, you are actually twice as big at all levels. Now, there are some fine points to it in terms of fees and spreads, etc. But largely speaking, that's how it works. It makes the most sense for the whales who actually have 1,000 Bitcoin to buy, but it'll actually still improve slippage even if you only want to buy 1 or 2 Bitcoin.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you to do one thing: disconnect and reconnect.
Sure.
And then I'm going to talk for a minute, and he'll be right back on. I want to see if it works a little better when it was just me at the beginning. So okay. I don't know what's going on. So we're going to bring Suren back in a couple seconds. All right. Yeah, guys, I know that we're having a bit of audio issue. I'm curious, were you hearing it on my side and his side? Some people said that I sounded like Max Headroom, which is not something that's ever happened. But I believe we were good when it was just me at the beginning. People saying I'm not much better. Maybe I have a stutter. I'm curious right now at this moment, can you guys hear me, or do I still sound like maybe a weird kind of robot? Come on, tell me. So you guys are saying now it's better. I'm curious. Yeah, see, I sound great. It's me. I don't know what's happening. Clearly, something on the connection. We've never, as you would say, this has never happened to me before, right? That's what guys say, right? This has never happened before. Although there was the one time that I had John and Pete Nigerian, and everything sounded like I was a DJ attempting to scratch my own voice. People are saying it's better, but only a little bit. Stutter just a little. Still bad. Fix it. So basically, I love you guys, but you're useless. You haven't told me anything. I'm getting completely mixed reviews as usual. Okay, still having issues. Stutter went back. Bad now. Clearly, it's a poor connection of some sort. But I'm bringing Suren back on, and we're gonna press through it. Okay, we're back. We tried. You did your part.
I hope it's not me. I hope I'm not the one bringing the bad connection to this thing.
No, people are saying it's good and bad. So basically, yeah, I'd say that your sound quality is useless is a pretty definitive comment that we just got here. So with this, we're going to push through. So what have you been seeing? Now we know why liquidity matters, obviously. What have you actually been seeing in the market for the past few weeks?
Sure. So what we've seen in the past weeks is liquidity has been more or less stable throughout the sell-off in real terms. In other words, in Bitcoin terms for BTC USD pair and ETH terms for ETH USD pair. That's what I call the real term, base currency terms. In dollar terms, it has declined in line with the prices. So you had some 20-25% dip from April to mid-May in Bitcoin. You had also a 20-25% dip in liquidity in the market depth, whether you measure the 2% or 5%, any level, especially the 1% and 2% level, you have a 20% dip. But what's interesting is it has recovered in dollar terms. This depth has recovered in dollar terms before the price of the market has actually recovered. So in a way, it was, in this case, a bit of a leading indicator to the market bouncing that the liquidity came back. Not sure if it'll work the next time around, but it was a bit of an indicator this time around, and that's interesting, to traders out there. But what it means going forward, I think, is that if we do have a bounce, if we continue to have a bounce, then that bounce is likely to be less volatile, more smooth, more like a grind up than spike up, because of all the liquidity that's been provided. Because if the liquidity had stayed low, then you would have had more volatility on the way up in this bounce. With the high liquidity supplied, is probably going to be a smoother way up if we actually have a continuation to the bounce.
Okay, so do you think we're gonna have a super boring summer?
It feels like it. It feels like it. It feels like there are a lot of levels still to be cleared on the resistance side, both in the fiat market and in the crypto market. So until those levels are cleared, resistance levels are cleared, I won't get too excited. But you never know. Resistance becomes support if it's broken. So if those are cleared, then we might have a slightly more exciting summer than it currently looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see finally a bit of decoupling from this sort of temporary trend that we've had where we've been following other markets, which has been quite annoying. But I guess we have to then believe that they're going to other markets are also going to have bottoms to believe that this market will bottom as well, right?
True. I mean, for a while, S&P bounced, but nothing was happening in the crypto world. So S&P was kind of a leading indicator, as opposed to usually they kind of go hand in hand. They have been going hand in hand until they decorrelate. This time, S&P was the lead. So we'll see in the next probably couple of weeks which way it's going to go.
We're having apparently people are just not loving my technical issues. I'm going to bring you back as soon as possible. Make you a regular guest anyways, which we've discussed. I think most people were able to hear most of it, but I'm sorry if it wasn't. So I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to probably cut the stream myself and not go through the rest of it. I really appreciate you. Love what you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good to see you. Good to be here. All right. Good luck with the technical issues.
Thank you. So yeah, guys, I don't know if it's the internet on my side, but or what it is, but clearly we cannot press forward with this. We're gonna bring Suren back pretty frequently to get updates on what's going on. Can you guys? Is it any better? I'm doing a speed test on my internet. That seems fine. My internet's great. My internet's doing terrific, so I don't really understand what's going on here. And now I'm watching on YouTube. I seem good. I don't know, man. I don't know. I love people who are just like, just reboot the internet. So then I can come back in 20 minutes and you won't have the link and I won't even be here. I don't use it. It's not OBS. I don't use OBS. I use StreamYard. Yeah. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to call it. Appreciate you guys showing up, but no reason to push through if things aren't working. Of course, this happens. Of course, this happens today on this very exciting Wednesday. But appreciate you guys. We will try again tomorrow. Hopefully things will be working much better. Thank you very much. Peace.
That's dope.